My girlfriend said she needed space. I gave her a month. Then I saw her in a photo tagged in Paris with my brother. When they got back, I invited them both to dinner. At the table, I pulled out 2 plane tickets. One was for me. The other was for his ex. I'm 34 years old and I live in Boise, Idaho. Not a flashy place, but it's mine. I've got a stable job at a logistics company. Been there 10 years. I bought a house with a small backyard and a decent view of the foothills. Nothing crazy. I like order. I like knowing what comes next. That's why what happened still messes with me. Her name was Sarah. She came into my life like most people do these days, through friends of friends. She wasn't loud, wasn't trying too hard. She was normal in a good way. We liked the same old sitcoms. We both hated clubs. Sunday mornings with coffee and the paper were more our style. After a year, she moved in. I thought we were on the same page. I even started thinking about rings. But around New Year's, she got weird. Texts got shorter. Her answers got slower. When we were on the couch together, she wasn't really there. She was somewhere else in her head. I asked her if something was going on. She said she needed space, that she didn't know who she was anymore. I asked her directly, "Is there someone else?" She said no. Swore it. Got teary. I believed her. Like an idiot. She packed a bag and said she'd go stay with her sister in Portland for a while. Said it'd be about a month. No pressure, just space. She hugged me like she meant it. I stood on the porch and watched her drive away. That was the last moment I had any peace. About 2 weeks in, something started feeling off. I wasn't stalking her. Nothing like that. But her phone was still on the plan I paid for, and I could see she was using it constantly more than usual. Then I got called into a coworker's office. Trina. She's not a gossip. Not usually. But she looked uncomfortable. "You still with Sarah?" She asked. I told her it was complicated. She turned her monitor toward me. "You might want to see this." There it was. A photo on Facebook. Not even posted by Sarah. It was a mutual friend of hers and my younger brother, Denny. The Eiffel Tower was in the background. Sarah and Denny standing together. Her leaning into him. His arm around her waist. Both smiling, like they hadn't just blown a hole through my chest. Caption: Love these 2 spring trip 2025. My brain shut off for a second. Then it came back all at once. I thanked Trina and walked out. I sat in my car for over an hour. Didn't move. Didn't even turn the engine on. Just sat there, staring. My brother. My own brother. The one I grew up with. The one who used to sleep in the bunk under mine. The one who always asked to borrow money, crash at my place, eat my food. That guy. With Sarah. In Paris. She was supposed to be staying with her sister. Finding herself. What a joke. I didn't confront them right away. I went home, sat at the kitchen table, and started going over every word Sarah had ever said in the last few months. I thought about every weird pause, every fake smile. Every time she said, "I just need some time." Then I thought about Denny. All the times he dropped by for no reason. The little inside jokes he had with Sarah. I'd laughed it off. Thought I was being paranoid. I wasn't. Over the next few days, I didn't say a word to either of them. I just let them come back. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they got away with it. Sarah showed up first. She looked different. Her hair had been lightened, and she was wearing new clothes. She stood in the doorway with her hands in her pockets like a kid who got caught cheating on a test. "I want to talk," she said. I let her in. Sat down across from her at the table. She started crying within 5 minutes. Said it was a mistake, that they didn't plan it. Said things between us had been dying and she didn't know what to do. I nodded. Let her talk. Let her cry. I didn't ask questions. I didn't yell. I gave her nothing. Then a few days later, Denny called. Said he wanted to come by. He sat on my back porch and scratched his neck like he always did when he was lying. He said it just happened. That they connected. I looked at him and said, "You connected with my girlfriend." He said, "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I didn't say anything. Just looked at him. He finally stood up and said, "Let me know when you're ready to talk." I watched him walk to his car and drive off. I wasn't ready to talk. I was ready to plan. The one person I did reach out to was Rachel, Denny's ex. They'd been together for 2 years. She was smart, kind, worked at a vet clinic. I always liked her. She didn't deserve what Denny did to her either. He cheated on her with some waitress from a bar he worked at. When I called her, I didn't know if she'd even respond. She did. We met for coffee. I told her what happened. Showed her the photo. She stared at it for a long time and then said, He's such a piece of shit. We talked for 2 hours. Not about revenge. Just about how it felt. What it was like to get betrayed like that. We both needed it. Then I asked her, have you ever been to Paris? She laughed. No. Why? I smiled. You want to? A week later, I invited Sarah and Denny over for dinner. They showed up looking nervous, like they didn't know if they were about to get yelled at or hugged. I played it cool. Made steaks. Baked potatoes. Even had a salad and wine. We sat at the table like it was just another Wednesday night. Halfway through dinner, I said, I have a gift. I pulled out an envelope and placed it in front of them. Denny looked confused. Sarah tilted her head. Open it, I said. Inside were 2 first-class plane tickets. One in my name. The other in Rachel's. Denny read the name and his face dropped. Sarah just whispered, what? We leave Friday, I said. Paris. Denny clenched his jaw. You're going with her? I shrugged. You went with mine. I stood up and walked to the sink. Thanks for coming to dinner. They sat there in silence. I didn't look back. After they left that night, I didn't sleep much. I wasn't second-guessing what I did. I just couldn't stop running everything through my head. The way Sarah looked at the tickets like they were knives. The way Denny's hands tightened into fists on the table. He didn't explode. He didn't have the guts, but I could tell he wanted to. I expected things to go quiet after that. They didn't. 2 days before the flight, I started getting texts from Sarah. Can we please talk before you go? I still care about you, you know. You're making a mistake. I ignored her. Then she called. 5 times in a row. I picked up on the 6th. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. Her voice was low, flat, like she was trying not to sound angry. You're doing this to hurt me, she said. I'm doing this to live my life, I said. The hurt already happened. She was quiet for a few seconds, then said something that stopped me cold. You think Rachel actually likes you? She's using you. Just like you're using her. Then she hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time. That hit somewhere deep. Not because I believed her, but because I almost did. I met Rachel at the airport the next night. She looked calm, like she'd slept like a baby. I told her what Sarah said, not because I was accusing her of anything, but because I wanted her to know. She just looked me straight in the eye. I'm not using you, she said. You're not some rebound. I don't want anything from you except the truth. And right now, the truth is we both got burned. So let's take a damn break. That was enough for me. Paris was weird at first. Not because of her, but because I kept thinking of them walking down the same streets, ordering food at the same cafes, smiling for photos like they were some kind of perfect couple. Rachel noticed me getting quiet and called me out. If we're going to be ghosts on this trip, she said, we should have stayed home. She was right. So we made a rule. No talking about Denny or Sarah for the rest of the trip. It worked. Mostly. We ate crepes at midnight. Took a boat ride on the Seine. Laughed more than I expected. She snorted when she laughed too hard, and I started teasing her for it. She teased me for walking too slow. For a few days, we felt like 2 people who had nothing left to lose. It was simple, honest. But of course, real life doesn't stay quiet for long. On the 5th night, I got a message from my mom. What is going on? Your brother says you're trying to steal his ex and destroy the family? She never used to text like that. So I called her. She was upset. Said Denny came by the house, ranting. Said I was parading around with his ex and trying to rub it in his face. Said he was crying and yelling. I told her everything. From the start. The photo. The lies. The dinner. All of it. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, he's still your brother. And I said, no, Mom. He was my brother. Now he's just a guy who stole from me and expected me to thank him. She didn't know what to say after that. I hung up. The day before we flew back to Idaho, Rachel told me she got a message too, this time from Sarah. She said I was pathetic, Rachel told me. Said I was just being dragged around like some pawn in your little revenge game. I asked her how she felt. She shrugged. I feel fine. I know who I am. I think she's the one who doesn't. I laughed. You're not wrong. But when we landed back home, the mood changed fast. The next morning, there was someone standing outside my house. Denny, leaning against his truck like he owned the world. I opened the front door, didn't invite him in. He walked up like he had something important to say. What the hell are you doing with Rachel? He asked. I smiled. Just spending time with someone who doesn't lie to me. He laughed bitterly. You think she's different? She's just using you to piss me off. I shrugged. Then maybe you shouldn't have given her a reason to. He stepped closer. You trying to start something, man? I held my ground. No, I'm trying to end something. He stared at me, jaw tight. Then he said, you always thought you were better than me. I said, no. I just didn't think you'd ever stoop so low. Then I shut the door in his face. After Denny left my porch, I knew he wasn't going to just let this go. He never handled rejection well, not from girls, not from jobs, not from life. And now I'd taken the one thing he always counted on, having the upper hand. I didn't tell Rachel about the porch conversation. She had enough on her plate. We weren't dating, not officially, but I could feel something real growing between us. And I didn't want Denny or Sarah to wreck that too. But it didn't matter, because 3 nights later, they showed up at Rachel's work. Rachel called me while I was at the grocery store. Denny and Sarah just came into the clinic. I froze in the middle of the frozen food aisle. What? They walked in together. Like nothing happened. Sarah had a fake smile on. Denny looked smug. What did they say? Rachel sighed. They brought in a stray dog. Said they found it and wanted to do the right thing. But they were really just trying to corner me. I already knew how they worked. Create drama, then act like the victims. What did they say to you? She hesitated. Denny told me I was embarrassing myself. That you were using me. Then he asked if I'd come to dinner with them to talk like adults. I felt heat rising in my chest. Are you serious? Yeah. And Sarah chimed in, like she was trying to sound sweet. Said she missed our old friendship and thought we could move past all the drama. That word, drama, set me off. They burned down everything, then tried to make us feel like the ones making a scene? Rachel said she told them to leave. Then she hung up and cried in the break room. That night, I drove over to Denny's place. I wasn't planning to yell. I just wanted answers. He wasn't home, but his truck was there. And Sarah opened the door. She was in sweatpants and a big t-shirt, holding a beer. She didn't even look surprised. Didn't think I'd see you again, she said. I'm not here for you, I said. Where's Denny? She stepped aside. Out. Probably with some girl. He doesn't tell me anymore. I stared at her. You live here now? She laughed. For now. Until I figure things out. Typical. I turned to leave, but she stopped me. I wasn't trying to hurt you. Sure, I said. You just did it for fun. She got quiet. Then she said, I never loved him, you know. I just hated feeling invisible. I stopped. You weren't invisible. You didn't see it, she said. You were so steady, so predictable. I thought I needed excitement. But he's just chaos. It was the closest thing to an apology she'd ever give. But it wasn't enough. I started to walk away, then turned back. One more thing, I said. Stay away from Rachel. She looked me dead in the eye. What if she's not as innocent as you think? I clenched my jaw. What's that supposed to mean? Sarah leaned against the doorway. You really think she didn't know what she was doing? Posting photos with you. Going to Paris. She knew it would get to us. She wanted it too. I didn't say anything. I just left. But I couldn't shake it. That night, I looked at Rachel differently. Not because I didn't trust her, but because doubt has a way of getting into your head, even when you know better. We were sitting on my couch, watching TV, but I wasn't really watching. She noticed. You okay? She asked. I didn't answer right away. Finally, I said, Can I ask you something? She nodded. When you agreed to go to Paris with me, was it just to get back at Denny? She didn't flinch. Didn't blink. No, she said. It was to get back to me. I believed her. But something had shifted. And the next day, I found out why. A friend of mine, Kyle, works at a downtown bar. He sees everything. Hears everything. He texted me. Thought you'd want to know. Your brother was here last night. Bragging. Said he's gonna win Rachel back, just to screw with you. I stared at that message for a long time. And then I remembered what Denny said on my porch. You always thought you were better than me. This wasn't about love anymore. It wasn't even about Sarah. It was about control. About him needing to feel like he still mattered. I thought I had played my hand already. But now I knew I needed one more move. And it had to hurt. After I read that message from Kyle, something inside me clicked into place. This wasn't going to end with a quiet walk away. Not anymore. Denny wasn't letting go. He didn't care about Rachel. He didn't care about Sarah. He just couldn't stand losing. And now he was trying to pull her back in, not because he loved her, but because she mattered to me. I wasn't about to lose again. Not to him. But this time, I wasn't just going to hurt him. I was going to bury every last lie he built around himself. I spent the next week preparing. I made calls. Talked to people who still worked at his old jobs, girls he'd messed around with, people he owed money to. I didn't ask them for anything shady. I just listened. It wasn't hard. Turns out Denny owed a lot of people, and he'd burned every single bridge behind him. One of his ex-girlfriends, Emily, told me he'd used her credit card for months while pretending to be broke. Said he promised he'd pay her back once he closed a deal that never existed. Another guy he worked with at a car lot said Denny used to sell clean cars with messed up titles, pocketed the cash, and disappeared when buyers got pissed. But the worst was from someone I barely remembered, Mike. We went to high school together. Mike said Denny had sold him a fake story last year about needing money for surgery. Mike's mom ended up giving him $2,000. He never paid it back. That's when I realized I wasn't the only one who needed revenge. So I got an idea. Rachel was hesitant at first. I told her what I was planning, and she looked at me like I was crossing a line. "You sure this is who you want to be?" she asked. I didn't answer. Because yeah, I wasn't sure. But I was sure Denny needed to be stopped. And if that meant getting my hands dirty, so be it. Rachel said, "I won't stop you. But I won't be part of it either." Fair. I organized a small get-together. Nothing big. Just a backyard barbecue at my place. I invited family, a few mutual friends, people from Denny's world and mine. He showed up with Sarah. That alone told me everything I needed to know. They were back together. He walked in like he owned the place. Sarah gave me a weak smile, like she was trying to pretend none of it ever happened. The food was hot. The drinks were flowing. Everyone was relaxed. And then I brought out the surprise. "Hey everyone," I said, loud enough to get attention. Quick announcement. Thought I'd share a little slideshow I made. It's kind of a look back at recent events. I hooked up my laptop to the outdoor projector, pulled up the presentation I'd made, and I hit play. The first few slides were photos. Paris. The photo of Denny and Sarah. A few more pulled from social media. The crowd was confused. People laughed nervously. Then I switched slides. Screenshots. Text from Denny to other girls. Messages where he bragged about cheating. Promises he never kept. Then bank statements. Names redacted, but dates matched the loans he never paid back. Even a copy of a police report one girl filed for fraud. Each slide hit harder than the last. Sarah's face went white. Denny looked frozen. I turned around and said, "Some of you thought I was being petty, that I couldn't move on. But I wasn't just lied to, I was used. So we're a lot of people here. I think it's time we stop pretending this guy's just a little messed up. He's a leech, and I'm done pretending." No one said a word. Then someone in the back clapped. And another. Soon, half the backyard was nodding, muttering, putting drinks down. Sarah got up and left without a word. Denny followed, looking around like he'd been shot. The fallout came fast. He lost the few friends he still had. Got booted from a shared lease with some buddies who didn't want to get caught in his mess. My parents were shocked, but even they couldn't deny what they saw. Rachel called me 2 days later. Said she heard what happened. "You burned him down," she said. "You happy now?" I didn't answer right away, because I wasn't sure. I had won. I had destroyed him, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like ash. A month passed. No word from Denny. Sarah deleted all her social accounts. Rachel and I met for coffee once. We talked about everything, then nothing, then just sat in silence. She looked at me and said, "So now what?" I shrugged. "I don't know. We weren't a couple. Maybe we never would be. But we had something most people never get. Truth." Looking back, I see where I went wrong too. I didn't see the signs with Sarah. I let Denny cross lines for years without pushing back. I played the nice guy too long, and when I snapped, I made a show of it. Revenge felt good for a second. But after that, it just felt empty. Still, I don't regret it. Some people need to be exposed. Some people need to learn that you can't just walk all over others and expect smiles in return. Maybe I went too far. But maybe, just maybe, I finally went far enough.